The issue with the plot, though, is Remy himself. Besides searching for his family, he prescribes to the boring white guy in a jacket school of protagonists.
I'm so sick of these people. You know, oh!
What's up, space pirates? This is your Admiral, the ridiculously ruthless Dr. Disaster. And with the release of Hell Is Us coming up in a few days, the review embargo has lifted, but since the game is not from one of the big AAA studios like Capcom or Naughty Dog, a lot of the reviewers are doing what they usually do with AA releases. They are ignoring it.
Triple stamp a double stamp. You can't triple stamp a double stamp.
For most games, if it comes from a major developer, we see somewhere around 60 to 80 reviews for the game on Metacritic. As an example, Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater had 79 reviews drop immediately when that game came out, but whenever a game either does something that game journalists don't like Marvel Rivals, which pissed off game journos by featuring attractive female characters in it, or when a game comes from a smaller AA studio, the game journos just don't bother reviewing it. Marvel Rivals, as an example, only had 23 reviews for that game. That behavior tells us everything we need to know about the game journalist profession. It's for social climbers who like to kiss the asses of corporate studios, parroting all their progressive talking points. So, when a game like Hell Is Us releases from a AA studio, a good chunk of them have nothing to say.
You are not worthy of my respect.
Well, as it turns out, it sounds like Hell Is Us might be a decent game as long as you don't mind challenges. As this reviewer here says, having given the game an 88 out of 100, with its combination of Souls-like combat, unguided exploration, Resident Evil-esque puzzles, and Zelda-esque dungeon crawling, Hell Is Us is one of the most gritty, challenging, and surprising experiences of the year. Overall, the game sounds like something certain gamers might really like.
Totally and completely badass.
But this review here from the outlet Eurogamer shows us why it is probably better that a lot of these game journalists don't talk about certain games, because here this guy is making his primary complaint about the game, saying that the main character is a boring white guy. Because of this, or at least partly so, they gave it 3 out of 5 stars. Seriously, the article gushes over the game, talking about all the challenging but cool design decisions. Naturally, as a game journalist, the dude whines about difficulty and about the immutable characteristics of the main character being a white dude. But in hindsight, maybe it's a good thing that a good chunk of these guys don't talk about these games, because whenever they open their mouths, all I can think is,
Shut the up.
Alright, me hearties, make sure that you hit the like button on this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Also, I've started uploading content onto Rumble, so make sure to follow me over there, and don't forget to follow me over on X, where I keep a list of games lousy with wokeness pinned to my account at all times for your reference. My handle over there is Dr. Disaster 1. But let's talk about what is being said about Hell Is Us. Like I said before, given how idiotic and biased toward progressive movements these professional games reviewers often are, on the one hand, it's a good thing that they aren't even looking at a game like Hell Is Us. Their opinions are practically meaningless to anyone with a serious mind. On the other hand, game journalists are still the gatekeepers of extra buzz and hype for games. Whether or not we respect their opinions, the fact of the matter is that these big game journalist outlets still have enough clout that when they talk about something, people do listen. If a game is ignored by the mainstream media, then a lot of gamers won't even know it exists. After all, the games that they ignore are usually smaller games who don't have the budget for a bunch of advertisements. Conversely, look at Borderlands 4. That game is being advertised like crazy all over the place right now, and the media is talking about it constantly, writing all kinds of articles about it. So, as much as we might not like these game journalists, and we rightly mock them for their irrelevance compared to what they were a decade or more ago, the truth is that they do still have sway to some extent. But anyhow, let's look at this article from Eurogamer where they review Hell Is Us, and keep in mind that this is how this person ended up scoring the game, a 3 out of 5 stars. The article starts off though by gushing about the soundtrack and the dark mood, but then immediately he does the game journalist thing and he starts whining about the difficulty level of the game. And admittedly, there are people out there who don't like those sorts of games. They don't like games that are too difficult, and that's fine, but clearly this guy is treating difficulty as if it is a de facto bad thing which caused the game to deserve a lower rating. The article then talks about the storyline of the game. It's a war-torn land with all kinds of supernatural stuff going on. The writer seems to like the lore and atmosphere of the game. We are going to read from here though, where it says, through detailed character conversations and well-written clippings and recordings, Remy pieces together the storied world of Hadia that thoroughly intrigues. The issue with the plot, though, is Remy himself. Besides searching for his family, he prescribes to the boring white guy in a jacket school of protagonists. Now, I just have to pause real quick here and point out the obvious, that there is no way that this guy would say that same thing about any other demographic. He would never say that if it was a boring black guy in a jacket, or a boring Asian guy, or a boring Indian guy. If the main character were a woman, he wouldn't have said that this was an issue. Or if the main character were gay, he wouldn't have said this. But, as I said earlier, the whole point of a game journalist is to be a social climber who kisses corporate ass and parrots their progressive talking points. So, reading on, the article then says about the main character, he barely speaks and rarely comments on his discoveries. He is a thoroughly uninteresting character exploring an interesting world. There's potential to really interrogate the themes of the narrative, but Remy is little more than an avatar with whom to collect keys and hit things. So naturally, this game journo wants more social commentary in the game, and his politics-addled brain is disappointed that the game doesn't depict the plight of some non-white guy struggling to survive a harsh environment. Sounds to me like this writer, who is a white dude himself, mind you, it sounds like he's just disappointed that he can't indulge in his white savior fantasies. But here is where he talks about what seems to be just about the only really legitimate complaint that he has about the game, and admittedly, it's a big one. He doesn't like the combat very much, and after talking a bit about it, he writes, the real issue is that there are only a handful of enemy types repeated throughout the entire game, bolstered by 3 levels of difficulty. Some are linked to colored haze enemies that must be defeated first, but these abstract apparitions have such bizarre animations it's hard to get a handle on parrying their attacks appropriately. Add in a dodge that pivots around enemies rather than to the sides, and it's all too easy to be embarrassingly surrounded and stuck in a corner. And to me, that sounds an awful lot like a skill issue. Now, I am the first to admit that I suck at Souls-like games like Elden Ring. Ring, for instance, and I am not drawn to them, but if I were reviewing Elden Ring, for example, I also would not dock it for being difficult because, of course, that is the whole damn point, being difficult. That would be like going to a restaurant to review their chocolate cake and then giving the cake a lower score because you don't actually like chocolate. Anyways, that is the gist of the article. The guy gushes over the game except for the difficulty and the so-called boring white guy main character, and then he gives it a 3 out of 5 stars. Personally, I think the game sounds like it could be pretty damn fun, especially if I were better at that sort of combat, but I sure as hell will not knock the game just because I don't do well with this style. I suspect that through positive word of mouth, Hell Is Us will end up with numbers akin to the first Berserker Kazan, which hit a little over 30,000 concurrent players on Steam when it came out this spring. It may not reach those numbers, Hell Is Us might not get to be that high on Steam, but the early access period for Hell Is Us just started yesterday, and they've got a few thousand players playing it already. And if you look at the reviews on Steam, the game is sitting at about 85% positive scores. I trust the word of gamers a hell of a lot more than game journos who aren't good at games and have a political agenda that they want to push all the time. But I'm going to leave it there. Based on that article's commentary, do you think the writer was justified in giving Hell Is Us 3 out of 5 stars? Drop your thoughts into the comment section below, and we will talk there. Thanks for watching, me hearties. If you haven't already, your Admiral is inviting you to subscribe to the channel and become a part of the crew. Life as a space pirate may not be glamorous, but there's always plenty of booty.